Hello there YouTube, and welcome back to another horrible roleplay tutorial. In this day I'm going to explain in detail about the WAC helicopter pack. And when I say detail, I really do mean detail. We'll try to explain as much as I can in order for you to understand how they work, what each of these helicopters do, what their unique parts are and stuff, and hopefully you will learn from it, and hopefully you will eventually become a better pilot in these helicopters, because they are kind of difficult to fly as a starter, but that's the goal of this video, is to hopefully allow you to understand them better and become a pro eventually. So currently in Harbor Roleplay we have 5 different helicopters available. We have the Hughes 500D, which I hope I pronounced that correctly. We have the Littlebird AH6. We have the UH-1D Huey. We have the Bell 206B, or 206B, however you want to say it. And last but certainly not least, we have the S-64 Skycrane. Now, what each of these helicopters do and why they're different and stuff, I will explain that all in different videos, which I will post an annotation about on the end of this video. Because this video will be just the the basic flight controls and how to set everything up and stuff like that, which is basically the same for each helicopter. That's why I will be explaining that in this video. And after this, I will be posting some annotations to all the different helicopters that I just showed you, and you can click on one of those, whichever you own or whichever you want to learn more about, to find out what the unique features of that helicopter is. So in this video, when I'm going to explain some more about the basic controls and stuff, I'll be using the Littlebird, because that's one of my favorite helicopters myself. So I find it useful to use this one as as a flight control. So the way you get in is obviously by pressing E. The side you enter the helicopter in does matter which the side which seat you will be going. But just remember that the pilot seat almost always has this green little HUD over here, which displays your speed, altitude, your weapons in case it has weapons. If it doesn't, then I guess you just simply see a green bar here with nothing on it. Not too sure about that, but let's just assume that for now. So before you're going to do anything, you need to make sure that your controls are set up, or else you have no idea what you're supposed to do. So to do that, you hold Q, you go to options, and then somewhere in options you're supposed to see the tab WAC and the menu aircraft. If you click on that, you see a whole list of options available for you to change, which is really awesome. So I'll be going over them one by one and what exactly they do. To start off, a default use mouse is supposed to be enabled. So that means that you're using your mouse for both the roll and the pitch of the helicopter. So you kind of, I guess you can use your mouse as a joystick. If you have a joystick and you want to use that as well, you can also tick the use joystick button, and then you get some configuration going on. But I don't have a joystick, so I'm not going to click on here because I have no idea what's actually going to happen. But if you choose to use your mouse, you can also invert the pitch and roll of the helicopter, I guess. But it's a personal opinion whenever you like to use your mouse or not. But I'd rather not, because the thing is, when you're using your mouse, it's basically stuck in this view. But if you take it off, you can just look around in the helicopter freely. well, you can do the same if you press use mouse, but then you need to hold the free pilot view button, which in my case is X. So if I would hold X, I can still look around, but if I release it, and I will go straight to the middle again because I'm using my mouse to control the helicopter. Same thing for if you're not using the mouse and you're having your camera say this way, you simply have to press X and it will move your camera back to the middle. So that's something useful to remember. But since I don't use my mouse, I will have to change one of these options to use my keyboard, because personally I prefer to use the WASD keys and the arrow keys for basically all my helicopter flight controls, and then the accessories and stuff will be will link to my keyboard as well. So I've already set everything up, so it's supposed to be looking different for you if this is your first time setting it up, but no worries, because I will go over them all and explain what they do, and so you can either copy my settings or you can put them how you think it's best for you. So we start off with exit helicopter, which is kind of obvious. You exit helicopter. So we'll leave that on E because E is also used to enter a helicopter. That's kind of obvious. Start engine. Well, so if I press R, then you will hear the sound that the engine is starting and the rotor start to rotate. But we don't do that yet, so I press it again and it shuts off, just like supposed to. Lift and fall is the altitude control of the helicopter. So if I were in a helicopter and it will lift goes straight up and the fall goes straight down, just like that. Then we have the roll left and roll right, which is basically just the roll of the helicopter. So it turns this way pretty much. Kind of difficult to explain, but you'll notice it just whenever you don't really understand one of these controls. It's okay to just test it out and see what happens, and yeah, see if you like it that way or if you want to change it to something else. Nose down and nose up is the pitch of the helicopter. So if I were standing, say, behind it, it will basically nose down means this and nose up means this. So I've set that to arrow up and arrow down, so that means that I'll be using my arrow keys in total for both the pitch and the roll of the helicopter. That means that there's only, well, I'll just leave it in the air. That means that there's only one thing left, which is nose left and nose right, and that basically means the yaw rotation of the helicopter. So this rotation pretty much, which means that I use my WASD keys in total for both the altitude and the yaw rotation. So we'll just leave that be. I'm gonna put this helicopter back. And then we have switch camera alt. Although this is something strange, because even though I set it to alt, I'm using control to switch between first and third person, which you can do in all helicopters, by the way, which is really awesome. Whatever you prefer best, either use first person or third person to fly a helicopter. For the tutorial's sake, I'll be using mostly third person because you can see the helicopter, so you can actually know better what it does and stuff. But yeah, you can choose whatever you like best. But yeah, it's kind of strange because I've set it to alt, although I'm using my control. So I'm not sure if this is the same case with you. So I'll just leave it be. I don't really care to touch it, so feel free to leave it on alt if you want, or because I don't know if this actually matters. Like, I could pretty much change it to control, but if I change it to alt, then alt doesn't really do anything, so we'll just leave that be. Now, fire weapon and next weapon is by default is that mouse 1 and mouse 2, which is your left and right mouse buttons. But because I'm not using my mouse, it's kind of hard to fly a helicopter than having to move your hand over to your mouse to fire your weapon, because that means you can either fire a weapon or you can control your helicopter. You can't do both at the same time, which is extremely difficult. So I changed that to F and G, which is it's really close to your left hand, assuming that you're having that on your WASD keys. So I don't have to move my hands away from my keyboard to fire my weapons, and yeah, those buttons are, I don't use any binds on them. So if you are neither using any binds on them, then feel free to put it on F and G, or otherwise you can also put it on something else, whatever you prefer, just whatever you want. Yeah. So auto hover is something extremely important. I set the space because spacebar is well, it's easy to reach. I also always have my thumb on it, so I can press it whenever I want to. And why this is so important, I'll be explaining a little bit later in this video, because I'm not done with the controls yet, so stay tuned for that. Now, free pilot view, I already explained that. That's just to either, if you're using your keyboard, you can press X to move your oh wait, I think it's only working in, yeah, okay, I just noticed it's only working in first person to switch your camera back to the center of the screen. Otherwise you just have to move it yourself. So I guess free pilot view is only useful if you're using your mouse, so you can still look around even though you're using your mouse to fly. But then again, like I said, you cannot look around and then keep the camera here while you're using your mouse to fly, because if you release X, it automatically goes straight back. So that's kind of annoying, but I guess if you choose to use your mouse, you just have to live with it. So now here we have two bars that we can move, the sensitivity and realism. Sensitivity kind of speaks for itself. It's only effective on your pitch and roll, which in my case is all my arrow keys. So the roll and the nose up and down, that this is basically the pitch. So the higher you set this to, the highest to put it yourself is 1.9, but I'm not sure if it does anything to put it higher by typing something there, but I just leave it on 3 for whatever sakes. Just play around with it, whatever you like best. But sensitivity basically is just the speed in which your helicopter rotates when you're holding one of these buttons down. So the higher you put it, the faster it reacts, and the lower you put it, the slower it will react. So you can do, so this way you can do more accurate turns, although this way it reacts faster, and so it probably saves your ass from a crash well, faster basically. Realism is kind of difficult to explain, so I'm not going to put too much effort in that. The max is actually 3, although just like the realism, I for some reason put it to 5. I have no idea if it even has effect higher than 3, but I just put it to 5 for whatever reason, so no reason to complain for me. So same as the sensitivity, play around with it, see what happens, and see what you like best. But trying to explain it, realism basically means the smoothness of how your helicopter rotates. So if I were to put realism at almost 0 or 1, I guess, that means your helicopter will just make really shocking turns basically. It's almost reacting like it's not a WAC helicopter. But if you put it on 3, or in my case 5, whatever, it reacts really smooth, and you can do really soft and smooth turns with that. It's a bit more difficult to control the helicopter using it that way, but I like it better, so yeah, I'll just live with it. Well, smooth view is basically when you're in your helicopter and you're making sharp turns and stuff, you'll see your camera going, kind of looking around. If you put this wait, no, that's shake view actually. Smooth view, I'm not sure what that is. I never really tried it. So try it if you wish, see what happens, and yeah, do as your likings. The admin settings, you don't have to bother about that because that doesn't work on line servers, so I'm not going to explain anything about that. If you feel free to test this out in single player if you've downloaded the whole pack. Otherwise, just forget about it. So that's pretty much all the controls of the helicopter. So once you've set everything up and you're confident that you're ready to go, in my case it's R. So we're pressing R to start the helicopter. Once again, I'm using third person for the tutorial's sake. And yeah, we can start to fly once it's on full speed, which is somewhat right now. So if I press my W key, I will go straight up. Although you will see that my helicopter decides to go backwards because my helicopter wasn't straight up. To fix this, you can use your auto hover, and this is a good timing to explain what auto hover really is. Basically, if I do nothing, my helicopter will stay like on its angle. But if you press auto hover, you'll see it automatically regains its angle and it will fly straight ahead, which makes it really easy to just hover on one place. Though it's very important to know that auto hover does not fix your altitude or yaw rotation, so it only takes care of your pitch and roll. So make sure that even if you have auto hover enabled, you're still not free from crashing, because you can still fall down and yeah, crash into the ocean. So make sure that you keep on pressing W once in a while to fix your altitude, because for some reason in single player right now it has a pretty stable altitude. So if I don't press anything at all, it just keeps on almost still, I guess. But in harbor roleplay, for some reason, I have no idea why, but the helicopter always tends to fall down. So like it's just too heavy or something, but you just have to live with it, I guess. It just, yeah. I can't really, don't know what to say about it. You just have to live with it, I guess. So, oh yeah, one thing I forgot. While you're having auto hover enabled, it doesn't mean that you're stuck on this position, because you can still roll and pitch the helicopter. Although, as you notice, it will take you a little bit more effort to get motion into it, because the auto hover tries to counter your movement by flying straight again. So auto hover doesn't really mean that you're stuck. You can still use it to fly around in. So if you're completely new to this helicopter and this is your absolute first time flying it, I would suggest to just keep auto hover on at all times, because it makes your helicopter flying a bit easier. I mean, the controls are less smooth, so in that factor it's more difficult, although it just makes sure that it doesn't crash your helicopter. So if you're having really difficult keeping your aircraft in the sky, then just keep on auto hover and you're supposed to have a much easier time. So that being said, you can also of course use auto hover to land, which is a huge huge advice to everyone using a helicopter. Even I use auto hover to land my helicopter because it's extremely easy. Because if I have auto hover on right now and I want to land on the middle platform over there, I just keep it on. I just see it. I have to move forwards a little bit more, and I move my camera so that I can pretty much guess where my helicopter is above the platform. So I need to move it a little bit to the back. Just gently press your arrow key buttons to move the helicopter in position, and if you think it's almost there, then you can just slowly descend the helicopter. I guess I have to move it a little bit forward. And yeah, just basically aim to fly above the platform, and when you're happy with your position, simply all you have to do is slowly descend and you made a perfect landing. So that's how easy it is to land with auto hover on. So keep that in mind, that auto hover is really useful for landings basically, also for takeoffs. And yeah, like I said, if you're completely new to the helicopters, it's also a good idea to leave it on, or at least use it regularly while flying helicopters. Because say, for example, if you're in an uncontrollable spin and you lost your controls and you don't know what the hell you're up to, all you have to do is press auto hover and it will fix your helicopter for you. And most of the time, if you're lucky, it will avoid crashing into the ocean. So that being said, I hope I didn't forget anything, because yeah, like I said, these helicopters are difficult to learn, but once you get a hang of it, they're extremely useful, extremely awesome, and I wouldn't say easy, but they're pretty handy to fly once you get the hang of it, of course. Because yeah, you can pretty much see it over here, like what I can do with these things, but that's because I've been flying with these things for a long time, but don't bother about that. So yeah, I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, let me know in the comments below, and I will either put up an annotation explaining it, or I will reply to your comments, because I read them all. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I definitely hope you learned from it. And yeah, safe flight. And if you want to learn more about any of these helicopters, click one of these annotations and it will bring you to a separate video where I will be explaining all the unique features of each of these helicopters. Thanks for watching and safe flight!